you mentioned before, Yvonne, that the BBC referred to you as the former journalist once you had converted, but you were still a journalist. It didn't matter your faith. When we talk about brands in the media, BBC, NBC, CNN, and you name it, like all the acronyms that exist, when we take a look at brands, is it true from your perspective that one would need to be cautious when listening to big brands and the anchors and the correspondents and the reporters, because there is an agenda past the news, like there is an agenda that's going on beyond the newsroom that the presenters have to adhere to? So does one who's the consumer of such news, do we have to be on guard from your perspective?
I wouldn't say on guard, I'd be discerning. And if you hear something from one news source, check it out with another news source. Try and get corroboration. I mean, I've seen so many stories in the Indian media about these fighter jets from Pakistan flying over and bombing Panjshir, and accompanied by video film. And it was just a defense expert had said, hang on, yes, that is an F-16 fighter jet, but that's a training exercise, and it was over Wales. And then there was another one that came out yesterday showing drone attacks, Pakistan again sending drones to Panjshir Valley and using drones to help the Taliban, and all of these images. And this 14-year-old said, no, that's from my Xbox. You know, you see things on TV screens. In fact, television is probably you should be more cautious, because you're hearing it, you're seeing it, and which is all very convincing, but it could be a lie. The Indian media in particular has been on steroids recently, I think, all of the misinformation. But the trouble is, when they come out with that sort of misinformation, it damages when something really horrific does come out. And then people think, well, is that real? Is it made up? I really get angry over the whole thing of fake news. So you mentioned one international broadcaster there, and when the Taliban arrived in Kabul the day after, this news reporter was suddenly wrapped up as though she's in downtown Raqqa. And she's standing in front of Taliban soldiers who were shouting Allahu Akbar, Takbir. And she said, this is weird, they're shouting death to America. And I thought, this is weird, because they weren't. And I, you know, thanks to technology, I was able to run back the, and in case, you know, maybe I had misheard, but I couldn't hear anybody saying death to America in English or in Arabic. And friends who speak Urdu and Pashto later said they couldn't hear it either. So, and this was a hugely respected broadcaster, and I just thought, gosh, can I trust what they're saying in future? So
does that happen on purpose? Like that level of, what's the word? Lie. That's true. It's, to call it what it is, it's a lie. That translation is not correct whatsoever in any definition.
Well, I don't know how. Well, I don't know. I don't know why she said it if she didn't hear it, and maybe she did and we didn't. But you know, I really ran it back a few times to give her the benefit of the doubt, because I hold her in such high respect. That's why I'm not naming her. But you know, it was just really. It was just, as far as I could tell, it just wasn't happening. And then another reporter was walking around. This was at the height of the airport turmoil. And here, you know, he's saying, I'm walking around in Kabul, the Taliban are here. and he's walking past them, and they're sort of, you know, smiling, and obviously have been told, behave yourself for the cameras. And he's saying, so I'm walking around, and there's a lot of Islamic dress, conservatively dressed people around. And I thought, yes, because you're in a Muslim country, you know, but and of course, the Westerners had gone. They were all at the airport or staying indoors. And then he was also saying there's a lack of women on the street. Anybody with any sense would have stayed indoors those first few days, because you just don't know. Are they going to kick off? Is there going to be fighting? There's no way I'm going to work today until I'm called in. So I could understand why there weren't that many women on the street in Kabul. But it's just the way that things are said. The same with kite flying. One of the chances that I got to ask the Taliban about was, why did you ban children from flying kites? You know, what on earth were you thinking of doing by stuff? And they said, well, we didn't ban them in the countryside, but we banned them in the towns and cities, because they run across the rooftops, get overexcited, and they fall over, or they'll get the kites wrapped around the power cables, and they'll pull them, and the power cables, and they get electrocuted. And I said, look, I've flown a kite before, and I said, you can't cut through a power cable with a piece of string. And they started laughing and said, yeah, well, our kite flying is slightly different. And, you know, most of the kites have a wire through them. Sometimes they're dipped in glue and powdered glass. And the whole point is you cut down your competitor until there's only one kite left flying. So if they did wrap around a power line and they pulled them, they could slice through the power line. So I thought, well, I can understand that. And then I realized this is the power of propaganda. I could probably go filming around housing estates in Britain, and no ball games. In Britain, children aren't allowed to kick a ball. And people would see that there's a sign saying no ball game. And you'd think, what the hell? This is, you know, propaganda. You get a little grain of truth and then you stretch it, and it's really sad when you, as I say, the BBC today are still promoting the myth that girls weren't educated and kite flying was banned. And they've taken this, or it's been fed to them, and it's become fact. Now then, do you continue repeating a 20-year-old lie, or do you drop it, or do you say, hey, we got this wrong and we're really sorry? You know, so far, they're still, you know, promoting this, this lie.